Superhero Chronicles returns, this time with the sequel to Sam Raimi's successful Spider-Man movie with Spider-Man 2. Yeah. Um, you know, Reprising their roles from the first movie, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, J.K. Simmons, James Franco, with a special cameo by Willem Dafoe, who appears as the ghost of Norman Osborn, who haunts Harry. But we'll get to that soon. Anyway, and of course, how can I forget? And of course, Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus. Let's get started. Spider-Man 2. This is a damn good movie, actually. It's a really good sequel. Spider-Man 2 takes what happened in the first Spider-Man and just, like all great sequels does, it builds upon that story, expands that story, and it takes the characters into different directions. When we first start, when Spider-Man 2 kicks off, we got Peter. He's he's having a hard time trying to balance out his personal life, his Spider-Man life, and his school life, and it's really taking a toll on him. He's always late. He's late for classes. He's getting fired from jobs because his commitment to Spider-Man has pretty much all but consumed his life to the point where he just can't find time for anything. Hell, he even forgets his own birthday. And then we got Mary Jane, who's an aspiring actress on Broadway. But even no, she's going through she's even going through stuff because you can tell that she's got those feelings for Peter, but she won't let it out because she's trying to get him to let it out, but he won't let it out, and that whole thing is working up. And then we get to Harry Osborn, who is struggling with the fact that Spider-Man killed his dad in the last movie, and it's putting a strain on him and Peter because Harry knows that Peter is Spider-Man's personal photographer, and Harry wants revenge, and Peter won't give him up, and you get that relationship which continues to strange, which builds upon what happened in the last movie, where I had mentioned that there is this underlying sense of jealousy that Harry has for Peter in terms of Norman's affection, and you kind of see that expand more in the sequel, which is great. That fine detail is expanded upon even more, which is awesome. Then we got, of course, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, who comes across as the most likable guy in the world. I'm not even joking. Like, no, in the comics, Doc Ock is like, just like this, over the top villain with some funny humor. But in this one, he's like a very grounded, just as looks like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Very personable type guy, not a brooder or anything like that. And he just comes across as someone that you just, like, tell me more, tell me more. And Nelson Merlina perfectly encapsulates that performance with this interpretation of Dr. Octopus, which has gone critical acclaim. And it's very hard to see why it's gotten so much acclaim because Molina just plays Dr. Octopus splendidly. And we got Rosemary Harris reprising her role as Aunt May. And in the sequel, she has a lot of screen time and she gets a lot to do. And she has a lot of really good scenes. Specifically, the scene I like the most is when her and Peter, have the conversation about how Uncle Ben died. And Peter tells her the story. And it's a very intense, nuanced, beautifully shot scene. And the performances from both Maguire and Harris are excellent. And it's also a very touching scene where Rosemary does this monologue where she explains what Spider-Man means to the world, especially to the world. How it's like Spider-Man is a person that makes you hold on that 1 second longer, hold out for hope, and not know that gives Peter some inspiration because prior to that, throughout the movie, you see Peter Parker, starting his powers starting to fritz on him, and they're starting to fritz out, and eventually gets to a scene where his powers completely disappear because he's not taking his role as Spider-Man. He's not taking his role as Spider-Man, to heart. And so his powers, the gift that was given to him, is disappearing, and eventually it just goes away. And of course, once that happens, Peter is able to reconnect with his life and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can easily tell that he's missing something. He's missing the sense of being a hero or something like that. And you get that in a scene where he saves a kid from a burning building, but we also find out that in said building, someone had lost their life. And when you see Peter's scene with that, when you see Peter's facial expression with that, you're like, if he was Spider-Man and not so selfish, he would have been able to save people. And that's one of the best things about this movie, that it's able to counter out its action and its drama excellently. But that's what I got to say about that. But let's get to my personal favorite scenes. One of the scenes that I love is with Doctor Octopus, the hospital scene, which is pretty much shot like a horror movie. And being that Sam Raimi, who is famous for the Evil Dead movies, I love it. It's a complete tonal shift from like the rest of the movie, because you could say it comes out of nowhere, and it's probably one of the parts of the movie where it gets really really dark. But I just love the scene because it's so intense and there's no music whatsoever. It's just doctors screaming, it's just people screaming in this chaos happening. And Octavius doesn't even realize what's happening, because in a prior scene, when he was doing a demonstration on fusion reaction, um, the experiment was, going amiss, I would say, and it was destroying this room in a building, and the technicals that he's able to control with a chip like destroy, like breaks, and pretty much it electrocutes the arms to his body. Also, in the process, it killed his wife, and you see, a broken down Octavius after the hospital mayhem. Reflect that his wife is gone, his life's work was a joke, and his life's work was like almost a waste, and he's trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. And like all great villains, like Doctor Octopus is one of the best villains because he's a villain, but in his mind he's not a villain. And those are the best type of villains because they think they're right and they think they're doing something good. And on paper, what he wants to do is good. Create sustainable, reusable, cheap energy. But he's so obsessed with it that he's almost willing to destroy the city to make his dream come true. And it's only when you get to the end of the movie and he makes the tragic heroic sacrifice, and has probably the best line that defines his whole character: "I will not die a monster." And like he saves New York from the disaster. Perfect, perfect ending for Otto Octavius. That's him. Now for Harry Osborn, we slowly see him turn to what he will eventually become in Spider-Man 3. And the seeds were planted in part one, and they expand in part two. We actually see the relationship between him and Peter deteriorate. There's this one scene at a party where Harry gets drunk, slaps Peter, and pretty much says like, my father always chose you over me and stuff like that. And you can see the jealousy, the heartbreak, and the rage. And the scene where Harry finds out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man all along, and just Franco's reaction was that he's playing three different reactions all at once: shock, fear, and rage, all at once. And I think Franco gets a lot of hatred, but I think he's an extremely underrated actor because the man can play good emotions, and he can play multiple emotions at once, which I think is good and is the mark of it really is the mark of a good actor. Franco's performance in Spider-Man 2 is probably his best performance in the entire trilogy. And we also get to Mary Jane Watson. Like I said, her and Peter, they have their thing going on. And Mary Jane's whole deal is that, she's in love with Peter. I mean, well, I don't think she is waiting for Peter, but Peter just won't tell her. So Mary Jane pretty much moves on and goes on to John Jameson, the son of JJ, who is an astronaut. And at this same party where Harry flips on Peter, they announce an engagement and stuff like that. But you kind of get the feeling that MJ is not into it because she really wants Peter, but at the same time, she's moving on. But it's almost in a way, you can almost look at it a way as her trying to get Peter's attention for him to stand up and do something. But still, Peter does nothing until we get close to the end of the movie where, Peter and MJ finally, end up because during the whole fight with Doctor Octopus, Peter reveals himself to be Spider-Man, and that's is eventually the catalyst that leads to MJ choosing Peter over John. So that was done pretty well. Though MJ leaving John at the altar is a bitch move, FYI. And then we get to J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He was awesome in Spider-Man 1, and he's even better in Spider-Man 2. And if you watch the extended cut of Spider-Man 2, he has more bits that are just hilarious. He has this one bit where he puts on the Spider-Man suit and he has a fucking cigar in his mouth, and he's doing... It's fucking awesome. J.K. Simmons as JJ is amazing. I don't even want to talk about his scenes. Just watch his scenes because they're just gonna have you laughing every time you watch him. He's just so good. He has other great bits where like his wife loses a checkbook and he's just like, "Thanks for the good news." Hilarious stuff. And this one scene where Peter's like, "Can I get paid up front?" And JJ just does like this hilarious laugh where it's just like, "Serious?" Awesome stuff. J.K. Simmons, once again, 10 out of 10. Then we get to the action sequences. And of course, the most amazing action sequence in this whole movie is the train sequence, which was for 2004 standards, in terms of a superhero action scene, amazing. So good. Breathtaking. The special effects in this movie are done splendidly. Big upgrade from the first movie, and the train sequences and the train sequence where Peter like uses his webs attached to different buildings to try and slow the train down, and you see how it just physically exhausts him. It's just fun to look at, and like even before that, when you got Doc and Spidey on top of the roof of the train, just going at it, trying to fight each other, trying to get one up on one another, is also fun to watch. Like that train sequence, amazing. And we get other fights where there's the bank fight where Doc Ock tries to rob a bank. Spidey goes after him. In that process, he kidnaps Aunt May, holds her hostage. Almost kills her until Spider-Man saves her, and they're fighting on top of the. That's also a fun scene. So it's like, yeah, Spider-Man 2 really is one of the best sequels ever made. And of course, Sam Raimi's direction is on par as usual. But there's also one part of his direction that I love, and it's a direct love letter to the way he directed Evil Dead. There's this one scene where Peter gets buried under a rubble, and the camera does that classic Evil Dead camera zoom where it just speeds up and Peter just bursts out of the rubble. Like when I saw that, I was like, that's an Evil Dead camera shot. I love it. And of course, we get to the end of the movie with Harry, where, pretty much starts hallucinating, and he starts to hallucinate after drinking, sees his dad in the mirror, and eventually finds out that his dad was the Green Goblin all along. As he finds the lair, he finds the glider, the suits, the serum, everything. And we're left with the question of, does Harry become his father, or does Harry go on the path to redemption? Of course, we have to find out for Spider-Man 3 to see where that goes. Oh boy. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Spider-Man 2. It is a solid 9 out of 10. This movie's awesome. It's a fun thrill ride. The characters are expanded in a good way. The story is fantastic. Its balance of drama and action is flawless. Sam Raimi brings the A game. The writers bring the A game. Danny Elfman, who did the amazing score for the first movie, comes back again for the second movie and does another outstanding job in the second movie. Performances are on point. Everyone brings their talent, has their talent elevated to the next level. It's just a fun movie to watch. If you have Spider-Man 2, definitely give it a rewatch because it is worth it because it is that damn good. And I can see why it's considered one of the greatest superhero movies of all time because, well, just watch it and see for yourself. Well, with that being said, I am AJ Legend. This was Superhero Chronicles. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.